Hey there. Today we're going to talk about a super fun subject. I like to talk about it because it's a little bit controversial, but it's one of those things that need to be said. So, the topic today is, do you want to know the truth about problem employees? Well, I'm going to tell you. The truth about problem employees is that employees aren't the problem. It's usually leadership. So, it's usually a leadership problem and not an employee problem. Yep, I said it, and I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. I'm Sheila Butler, and today we're going to tackle some of those topics that might be considered controversial or fun or spark a little bit of debate, and that's what's really exciting when you get to leadership. And if you like to have those kind of conversations, subscribe below. So let's be honest. No one likes to admit this, but when you say that you've got an employee or a problem employee, you're actually saying something about your leadership. I know that's a tough one. If someone on your team isn't performing, they're missing deadlines, or they're just not pulling their weight, the issue isn't them. It's the system, the expectations, the training, and ultimately the leadership. I'm going to break down 3 common reasons why employees get labeled as problem employees and why, in each case, it's actually a leadership fail, not an employee issue. Let's talk about some examples here. When you hire the wrong person, you're setting them and yourself and your team up for failure and frustration. Hiring in a rush means skipping the deep questions and going with your gut feeling instead of a proven skill set. So, what do you do instead? Slow down the hiring process. Be intentional about asking questions that reveal mindset and work style, not just skills. Skills can be taught. Make sure that they align with your team's culture because a mismatch will come back to bite you, and that's never good. Second thing is that sometimes a person can be great, but maybe they're just not a good fit for the role that you've placed them in. This happens more often than we like to admit, but it's true, right? So maybe they're an incredible creative thinker, but you've got them drowning in spreadsheets and process, and that's just not them. Or maybe they're a natural leader and they're stuck in a role with no authority. Keeping someone in the wrong position, it's not loyalty, it's leadership negligence, and your whole team feels it. You're not doing them, yourself, or your team any favors. So, what do you do instead? You need to be willing to reassess roles and responsibilities. Talk openly with your team member and about their strengths and the frustrations that you're feeling. Those are key. And move people where they can thrive, not where you maybe originally placed them. Third thing is potentially a gap in training. So let's talk about training. If you hire someone and then you expect them to perform without guidance or clear support, that's not leadership. That's just wishful thinking. Another thing that I've heard leaders say is, what if I spend all this time training them and they leave? And I say, well, what if you spend no time training them and they stay? So people need to know the expectations. They need to have a process. They need to know how to succeed. And if they're failing because they weren't trained properly, that's not an employee problem. That's on you. So what do you do instead? Create a structured onboarding process. Set clear, measurable goals from day one. Onboarding is key. And keep the door open for questions and actually encourage your team member to ask. Here's the bottom line. If you have a problem employee, you have a leadership problem. And that's not a criticism, it's an opportunity. When you take ownership of the issues, you put yourself in a position to fix it. You'll have better hires, you'll have better role alignment, you'll have better training. That's how you move from frustration to real results. Remember, boss less, lead more, and rise together.